Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Momenta on the Main Line. We're your hosts. I'm Dr. Joanna Ilan.
And I'm Dr. Ilan Green. We're here to talk about all things health, wellness, fitness, performance, and overall well-being. Hope you enjoy the show.
Personal trainer and owner of General Fitness Company in Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania. Originally from Anchorage, Alaska, he went to Gus Davis Adolphus College in St. Peter, Minnesota. While there, he was a six-time NCAA track All-American and set 6 school records, becoming one of the most elite sprinters in school history. He graduated with a degree in psychology and later earned his MBA. He started personal training in 2006 at Platoon Fitness in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and trained at the Aquatic Fitness Center in Ballackinwood for a decade, in addition to working as a middle school counselor at Roberto Clemente in Northern Philly. He later continued his athletic pursuits by becoming a world natural powerlifting champion with a 185-pound power curl, in 2012. And competed in the American Ninja Warrior in 2015. Today, he trains his clients ranging from youth to senior athletes of all kinds, including racket sports, ice hockey, and track and field. And in our opinion, he also happens to be one of the most positive trainers I think we've ever had the pleasure of meeting. With that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jerry Washington. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Lovely intro. That feels great. You Googled me. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
So we can pretty much get rolling. We like to give people a little bit of a background. We read through the intro, but there's so much more than that. Those are just kind of the highlights. And so I guess we mentioned you were born in Anchorage, Alaska, and now we're all...
Anchorage, Alaska. Not born. I was actually born in Georgia.
Okay. So born in Georgia. Yeah. Yeah, Google didn't tell me that. No,
Thank God.
So born in Georgia, raised in Anchorage, Alaska. From previous conversations that we've had with you, you've lived all over the place.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, and for the people listening, we're now sitting in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So that's all across the map. Tell us a little bit about kind of what brought you here and all the places that you've landed over time.
Okay, sure. Well, my parents were military, so that's why I was born in Georgia, and that's where I pretty much moved around everywhere. I lived, I'm not going to go over the list of places I lived, but I'll give you a little synopsis, I guess, or whatnot. I've lived in Hawaii, lived in Spain, lived in Anchorage, Alaska, went to Minnesota. So that's kind of what the military is what got me to all the places that I was in before college. Obviously, I went to school in Minnesota. Got to school in Minnesota. That was an interesting thing. When I was in high school, I was looking for some places to go to school. I was mediocre at track at the time, so I wasn't that great. So a lot of places I looked at didn't want me to be there. They didn't want to give me money or anything like that. But luckily, I was a relatively decent student. So at Gus Davis, they said, well, we can't give you a fitness scholarship or sports scholarship, but we can give you an athletic scholarship. And it was they gave me quite a bit of money. It was a relatively inexpensive school for the money they were giving me, and that's kind of how I ended up in Minnesota. And then from there, Minnesota, I was again looking around. I couldn't find a job. 2003 it was a weird time, and I guess that was the beginning of where it was really hard to find jobs. Now you graduate and it's almost impossible to find a job. So that was the beginning of that. And my career counselor on a whim just said, hey, there's somebody that's looking for someone to work as a school counselor in Philadelphia. So I said, okay. I packed up my bags and moved to Philly. So that was it was an interesting little thing out here. I did not know anything about Philadelphia. Actually, I ended up living in And this is where it's good to be positive. I lived in North Philly, and I didn't have a place to stay. The place that actually employed me at first, they gave me a little mini apartment for like 2 weeks so I could find a place to stay. And that place was, this is North Philly. So if you're familiar with North Philly, it's a little, if you're from Minnesota and Alaska, you're not like ready for that type of stuff. So I saw like, the first day I saw like a mouse running across the room, and I freaked out, called my parents and said, I don't want to do this anymore. So yeah, that's how I ended up here. And yeah, that's pretty much like the origin story here in Philadelphia.
So I guess the next question would be, you know, you got here, you were working at the school, but you have a background in athletics. You've always pretty much been active. Is that kind of what got you into personal training, or was there like a specific experience that you had with that?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. So when I was, I should maybe back up a little bit. So my first job was a counselor it was a camp counselor. So it wasn't exactly a school counselor. It was a camp counselor. That job didn't work out. I'm going to not go into that, but the job didn't work out. So I ended up trying to look around for jobs, and I had a friend who ran track with me. He was also an All-American. He still lives here, and he was trying to help me find a job. I couldn't find a job, and he ended up telling me, hey, you know, go check out the counseling place. So I ended up working as a counselor, and afterwards I was like, I don't know if I want to do this either. You know, after 2 years, it's like, yeah, this is not for me. In terms of like, it was hard because, you know, I'm a positive guy, but to see that type of the things that these children were, you know, afflicted by was like it was very eye-opening for me. So, and I was only 23 years old at the time, and I just didn't know how to deal with that. So I just said, you know, can you help me find another job? So he ended up working as a personal trainer down the street at Platoon, and he said, you should try it out, maybe just for the summer, because since I was working for a school, I had the summers off. So I tried it out, said, hey, this is the thing. And that's essentially how I became a personal trainer. You know, just like my friend, I definitely should shout him out. Jerome Robinson, I'll shout him out. For y'all that are listening, if you heard my last episode I was shouting out Ilan's mom. So now we're going to shout out my guy, Jerome Robinson, if he listens to this.
So I do have a question for you, because you're saying you went into school and as a mediocre track athlete, yet you ended up setting all these school records and All-American. What happened there? How did you make that transformation? That sounds like a big change.
That's actually a really good question. To be honest with you, I've recently put a lot of thought into that, to be honest with you. So that's a really good question. Because like I said, I was a mediocre athlete, and then I became, you know, 6-time All-American and have all these school records. And I attribute it to two things. One thing was I had a phenomenal coach. My coach was amazing. She was a track athlete. I think she ran in, I think she might have ran in one of the Olympics back in like 84 or something like that. So she was a phenomenal athlete. It was a small school, so she was just trying to like make her name as a coach. And so I have to give her a lot of credit. She definitely like opened my eyes to a lot of things that we could do. But I would also say on top of that, because, you know, I trained with her, you know, I trained with all 4 years, but where it kind of, I guess the doors blew open or whatnot, was when I actually took ballet. Yeah, I swear to you this. Not at all, right? And that's not what I thought. But honestly, ballet was the thing that gave me the body awareness that actually helped me understand what she was teaching me. So I could understand that she had great exercises, great, you know, composition of training, you know, in terms of training programs. But to actually do the ballet and to actually feel my body doing these different motions, slowing it down, because everything is fast paced in track. So you're just trying to do everything fast. You don't have the opportunity to actually think about what you're doing. And of course, you don't want to be thinking when you're running. You know, you want to think when you're practicing, but not when you're actually competing. So to have that, you know, that great coach, as well as have somebody to give me the opportunity or a class, I should say, to give me the opportunity to feel my body and how it works when I'm doing these things. I think back now, and I remember like literally having days and evenings I was sitting in the dorm where it just started clicking to me. Like I could think about an exercise that we were doing in ballet, and I could see how it correlated to what we did in track. And I tell you, like I said, freshman and sophomore year, I was still pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I still went to nationals my freshman and sophomore year. But my junior year, when I took ballet, is just when I went through the roof. And I was pretty much I have a conference record that still exists. I actually have a record in California that still exists, and the 200 at Claremont Mud Scripts. So if you ever go to Claremont Mud Scripts and check out that school, you'll see my name, Jerry Washington, on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool because I think it's always the things that we don't really expect that are going to make the biggest differences, and it's always the things that like it seems very random, but then it ends up almost like highlighting like the areas where you're lacking. Mm-hmm. It gets you uncomfortable, makes you think about what you're doing, and then you gain the strength from there, and then all of a sudden, you blossom. You know, that's pretty cool. So I guess, I mean, I think the mindset portion of one, being open to something like ballet, and I think it takes a good coach. Did she have to do a lot of like convincing to get you to try it out?
No, actually that was believe it or not, that was actually my idea. Now remember, this is the 20-year-old Jerry Washington, and I'm like, ballet tights, yeah. I was really there for the girls, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, I really was there for the girls, but it ended up being a great experience. I mean, I thought about doing it. I mean, to give you the real breakdown of why it is, people probably give BS answers to like why they did stuff, but honestly, it came down to this. I needed an elective. I didn't have. I'm perpetually late for everything. So I was also perpetually late for signing up for my elective. And that was one of the only few electives that were left. And I was like, it was like something like art class, some kind of art class, art history, and a couple other, I can't remember. But I just remember I was like, well, at all these, I get to see girls in tights, and I guess I might, there's some athletes that did ballet, so why not? Yeah, this is 20-year-old Jerry, not 40-year-old Jerry. I wouldn't think that now, but... But yeah, I mean, it really was something that I didn't really, like you said, I didn't really think of it as like it was going to help out my sport. I was thinking like maybe it'd be kind of cool that I kind of feel my body in different ways and do have a different method of training outside of what I was doing with track. But I just never really expected it to have that much of an impact on what I was doing. And to be honest with you, now as a personal trainer, I use a lot of those exercises from ballet still. Yeah, I absolutely use a lot of those exercises. A lot of my, quite a few of my clients will tell you, will ask me like, "Wait, is this a ballet move?" I'm like, "Yeah, a rond de jambe. You don't know?" Like so, so it's really interesting how that works. It gives those people that awareness that I remember getting from doing those movements when I was younger.
So I think, and you kind of mentioned it too. It's like there's specific things like ballet, right? Or like specific styles of training, but at the end of the day, it's all just kind of human movement. And the more that you're kind of exposed to, the more that you're able to incorporate and integrate into your approach, which I think is a good segue to kind of say like, or I guess ask, what type of clients are you working with now? Like what type of people are you working with? What are their goals? Give us a breakdown of the people that you're training and kind of helping out and making do some ballet moves.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know what? It really runs the gambit. I mean, I really have a lot of clients from all different backgrounds. To be honest with you, though, if I were to place, give them that 80% of like what the majority of my clients are, I would say that they're between the ages of 40 and 60. And I have a few like younger athletes, but most of them are between the ages of 40 and 60. Maybe some of them had some kind of background in athletics or training or something beforehand, and now they're just trying to maintain or get a little stronger. I don't have any real bodybuilders or anything like that. But for the most part, yeah, it's between 40 and 60 people that maybe play some type of or do some type of activity like golf, or pretty much everybody plays tennis here. Pretty much everybody plays tennis around here, as well as my clients. So it's pretty much, like you said in the intro, racket sport athletes. I have a lot of racket sport athletes. I have a few hockey players that I've trained, and quite a few of those younger people that I train growing up, went into college, got scholarships and stuff like that, because of under my tutelage. I won't say that. They were great athletes in the first place, but, to give these people that awareness, I think is what's really important for a lot of, and that's pretty much what you guys do here is essentially is like give people that awareness. Like, yeah, I mean, like I said, in my episode, in the episode that we did together earlier, it was, you gave me that eye-opening experiences of like, no, this is what's going on. This is what the movement is how you're executing this movement, and you need to like think about these certain things. And we won't if you want to listen to the entirety, you can listen to that old episode. But yeah, I mean, it's really important, I think, to just give people that awareness of how your body is moving. And so pretty much a lot of people appreciate that I give that I bring that to them. And that's essentially what people tell other people when they say that I train, that I'm a good trainer, or they trusted me as a trainer. Essentially, they say that Jerry understands what you are doing and can kind of meet you where you are and put you and kind of guide you into the direction that you need to go based on the way you are moving currently.
So I have another question for you, just because I've heard you say this so much in the past. You're repping the slogan right now. We've heard you say so much. It's kind of your tagline or your mantra, maybe just a value that you keep very near and dear to your heart, I think. But you say keep good company. Can you tell us the story behind keep good company? What does that mean to you? How did you come about this?
Oh, well, that's interesting, actually. Keep good company. I'm not a person that has a ton of friends. I have a lot of associates, people that know me, but I don't have a ton of friends. So I keep my circle tight. Circle of trust, like a guy in Meet the Fockers said, right? So yeah, so I keep my circle tight, and I think that the people around me, because I keep my circle tight, I really try to help out the people that are in that circle, and they reciprocate, and it's we actually you and I had that conversation just a little bit earlier on about like, you have to kind of have that reciprocation. You have people that you can't give more than people are giving you. Or, at least you try not to give more than, or at least don't, maybe I should rephrase that. You shouldn't take more than people are giving you. Obviously I'm all about giving, but you shouldn't take more than people are giving you. And a lot of times, if you have a big circle, and you have that mantra, like I just said, you can get burnt out really easily. And that's happened to me before. It's like, I try to do too much, try to give out to everybody, and I got burnt out. So, and that was actually fairly recently, right before I actually started General Fitness Company. I was doing everything. I was working 80 to 90 hours a week. I was trying to literally, give not only with training, but also like do other things on the side with, just trying to give. And because because I was giving so much and getting so little in return, I was really burnt out. And that actually led me to make a change in my career. And actually it happened twice. So hopefully this is the third time's a charm. But yeah, so it actually did happen twice. When I was, that was pretty much what happened with the counseling. I was like, trying to help out a lot, because that's my thing. I like to help, but it was more than I was capable of doing, so I got burnt out. And so that's when I went into personal training. Thought it would be a little easier to work, with the body instead of the mind, because the mind is very complicated, as we all know. The mind is very complicated, but if you can maybe make some kind of combination of the mind and the body, I thought that might be good. But it just, I got, I guess, really popular where I was before, so everybody wanted to come to me, and not everybody was willing to pay to come to me. And I'm a giving person, so I was just like whatever. But after a while, it became a lot. So when I started General Fitness Company, essentially keep good company was something that I had in my mind, just like people that are gonna reciprocate what I give to them, because I'm a giver, and I would hope, I don't need to have givers around me, but just at least people that understand that, it's not just a take situation in any kind of relationship, no matter what you have.
So I think, I mean, you mentioned you kind of had this moment where you were trying to figure out some sort of a balance between like what you were providing for other people, what people were providing for you, and especially when it comes to burnout, because usually, I mean, we're kind of the same way, where it's like you chase your passion, but sometimes chasing your passion so much can lead you to that burnout point because you're so willing to give that, you know, you run into a lot of people that are just willing to take your time, especially, and to your credit, when you're good at it, right? Then just more people get attracted toward it. And then it's easier to kind of get burnt out in that way. But you also mentioned a little bit about like your approach to things in terms of your mindset. And so I think that mindset of keeping good company and you know, surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded definitely flows into the way that you approach training, which I know we were really excited to talk to you about. We mentioned, Joanna mentioned in your intro that you're definitely the most positive personal trainer I think we've ever met. And one thing that we've heard from people that you work with and just people who have met you in general, even the ones who had introduced us to you, said the same thing. And so can you talk a little bit about, now that, you know, you're running General Fitness Company, how is that mindset and that sense of positivity kind of morphed into the environment that you're trying to create there?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, you thought about that one, didn't you? You wrote that down. I can imagine you thought of that question like, ooh, yeah. All right, so how did my mindset of keeping good company or positivity in general essentially create the culture that I have more or less tried to develop? Well, I would say gratitude. You know, gratitude, that whole gratitude thing, that's such a buzzword. I want to take that back almost. But honestly, let me see if I can answer the best way to answer that question.
I know it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough question, right? Yeah, it's like, how did your attitude essentially become that culture that you built? Well, I don't know. Ilana.
I can ask a more specific way. I think in general, when it comes to and you mentioned this earlier too. So I think working with the mind, like you mentioned, especially for people in really, really difficult circumstances, can be tough and can be a lot. But at the same time, I think a lot of what people do who work with movement, whether it's training or, you know, like what we do in the realm of pain, it also has like an effect on the mind. And I think the reason that I find it so fascinating with you is because I think positivity can play such a healing role. And I think not only that, but I think especially in the role of like fitness, people come in and they have specific goals that they want to accomplish. And it's a very uncomfortable space. I mean, it's supposed to be uncomfortable. People are lifting weights and all that kind of stuff. And so the biggest thing, it's like, regardless of whatever training method that people are using, consistency ends up being one of the biggest keys, right? And I feel like one of the things that makes you the most unique and is the easiest like way to send people your way is you're so positive that it's easy for you to establish relationships with the people that you work with, and that helps them accomplish goals. And so, yeah.
I got your answer. Sorry about that. So I get what you're saying now. Yeah. So essentially, the way I look at it, and I think I kind of mentioned it earlier before, is that I meet people where they are. And so what I mean by that, it's like I feel I have an emotional as well as a physical empathy for like how people move, what people are thinking, and maybe that's a Libra thing. I don't know if that's a Libra thing, but we got fingers pointing across the room here. Everybody's pointing fingers at each other. We're all Libras, by the way, just in case you guys were wondering. So yeah, so we're all pointing at each other like that Spider-Man meme. If you guys have seen that one. So yeah, I mean, that's really what it is that empathy, right? So like if you have that empathy to kind of feel like what somebody is feeling emotionally, because that's pretty much the trigger for everything, right? That's what triggers your movements and stuff like that, how you're emotionally. If you're hungry, you're going to get up and move, right? You're going to get up and get some food, you know? So it's like essentially having that emotional empathy can lead into that physical empathy. Because honestly, I mean, when I'm training people, when somebody says like X hurts or something like that, I actually feel it in my body. It doesn't, I don't feel pain, but I can, like, somebody says my back hurts and I'm like, oh man, I guess I can kind of like in my brain, I can say, all right, well, this is here. And I can think, all right, well, we need to do these things. So that positivity leads into that. And the fact, and with the aspect, or it leads into that because like I am I'm already feeling how they're feeling. I want them to feel happy so I can feel happy. So I'm positive. So I'm like trying to push that positivity so we can both feel happy about our encounter or whatnot. So, whether I'm like by myself or whether I'm with other people, I'm really just trying to convey happiness, convey joy. So not only am I putting it out there, but I'm getting it back, cause like, there's not many people that if you're happy around them, unless they're in an extremely bad mood, that they're going to respond negatively to you. If you're smiling at them, they're most likely going to get a smile back. If you're, joyful and you're happy in general, people are going to wonder like, what's going on, what's going on with me that I'm not feeling the way that guy's feeling. So, I mean, and it's not anything that's like meant to make people feel any type of discomfort. It's just, I just feel like, I mean, we can bring it back. Since it's the podcast, I was a military brat, right? So, I mean, I moved around a ton. So because I moved around, it was necessary for me to find some type of way to get people to kind of like, be in my space and feel comfortable in my space. So that was, I think that was, if we can bring it back, we're having a psychology session here, like psychology counseling. But if we bring it back to my childhood, I think that's what it was though. It's just the fact that I moved around so much and I came across so many personalities, so many types of people that I thought the universal thing was just like to get people to at least talk to me and get to know me, and for me to like make friends is just to be friendly. Now, again, to go back to my original point, I don't have a ton of friends. I have a ton of people that know me. So, but I don't make a ton of friends that are like close friends. So I try to keep it tight and keep my energy and all that good stuff.
Well, I think I can speak for everyone that probably knows you that you definitely bring the energy, and it is very contagious, and it's hard not to laugh when you have your just hearty laugh. It's just comes out so naturally. But as you're saying, you bring energy because that's what you want to receive too. But how do you keep yourself grounded? It's hard to give that much energy all the time, and just try to give people what they need to get through their workouts and stay motivated, because as we've talked about before, motivation will wax and wane. It's not always there. Consistency is key. How do you ground yourself after giving so much to other people like that?
Mushrooms. No, I'm playing. Again, allusion to our previous episode, right? Not mushrooms. Actually, not the magic time, right? No, so so I would say that the way I keep myself grounded, honestly, is just to be just have that awareness of reality. I'm like, honestly, like I have family, and I'm like many of us do. I'm go back to my original point about gratitude. I'm grateful for the fact that my family is alive and that they're doing well, so to speak, and I should say alive. My family's alive, and that just waking up every morning, not getting a text message or a phone call that someone is like in trouble or anything like that is like that's what grounds me. So it's like I guess it's just essentially like a grounding foundation. It's like I wake up in the morning like everybody good? Okay, let's go ahead and bring some energy to the world or whatnot. But it's a refined process. I mean, I just talked just a few moments ago about how I burnt out twice. So it's like something that I had to kind of develop and learn and figure out, like what works for me, what doesn't. And I think also through the years I've developed a way of like kind of just being aware of what's going on inside. So like when I do feel like, all right, this is becoming too much, I back off. I do back off. I tell people like, it's not happening today. I'm not training or whatnot. I mean, it doesn't happen often. I mean, this is actually year 5 officially of General Fitness Company this month, though we celebrate year 5. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So, I mean, it hasn't been very often at all that it would be like, I can't train today. I mean, out of these 5 years, I'd probably say maybe twice, and I train 6 days a week. So it's really just, I think, a matter of just kind of having that self-awareness of what's going on in my body, not just like this frantic energy, just trying to throw out energy to people or whatnot. It's really, it's kind of calculated, not calculated, but it's more so calculated for what I can give out to people And I guess I have a lot. I guess I have a lot, but I still know that there are limits to, the energy that I can, the positive energy I can put out or put forth.
Well, and on that too, I think sometimes, like even in what we do, like people seek us out for a specific problem, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't play like more than just that role in their lives. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I mentioned that is because I feel like you have a lot of projects, the podcast, every Instagram story every single day ends with a final thought. And there's always this effort to put out more than just like fitness information. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I mean, it speaks loudly about who you are, but there's also, a lot of positivity that comes out of that. Can you talk a little bit about, one, kind of the effort with the podcast that you have, and some of the ways that you, or some of the messages that you're trying to put out with that, as well as some of like the final thought that you're using on Instagram.
Yeah. The final thought I definitely got from Jerry Springer. I don't know if you know, you guys might be a little young, but yeah, Jerry Springer, because he had a final thought. So like, I literally just was like, hey, this would be kind of cool, Jerry's final thought, and so it kind of blossomed from there, or started from there. But essentially what I was trying to do is because, I have that psychology background, and essentially the way I started General Fitness Company, it was more than just a physical fitness center. It was literally like, I want to, actually, even before I started General Fitness Company 10 years ago, I was working with a psychologist, and I was looking to start a nonprofit that was similar to what I have in mind of like a physical fitness, mental health. So I've always, 10 years ago was when I was thinking of this whole project of like making a general fitness company where it's essentially fitness that's not just push-ups and sit-ups, but something that addresses every single aspect of a healthy life. So although I don't exactly have that right now, it's not General Fitness Company where people know, like, you can go and see a psychologist there, you can see a chiropractor there, you can see Jerry Washington there as a personal trainer or whatnot. I still, more or less we're kind of getting there. Maybe that you guys aren't in my doors, but I can refer out to people that are in my close company that are keeping good company with me, and I can say, hey, check out Momenta Chiropractic, because they have the same ideas of like the emotional, physical, duality and with health and fitness. So that's essentially what how I look at it, and that's why I put those things together. In terms of my podcast is kind of the same thing. It's like I feel like everybody is doing some kind of physical fitness kind of thing. Everybody's showing people how to do exercises and stuff like that, and that's great, but I feel like that's a commodity. It's like you can pretty much, you can go on Instagram, look up health, and see like a million different people doing the same exact thing, so I want to have a little bit of a different approach to kind of go around that whole physical fitness thing, and hit the emotional, mental health thing, and then maybe come back around to the physical aspects, because I think you can exercise all you want, and I'm sure you too and anybody else listening have met people that are like really into working out, but their brain's a mess, their mind's a mess, and like they might, I don't want to say anything about anybody's clients or anything like that, whether it's yours or mine or anybody, but there's people out there that that do need to have more than just like a gym routine, and I think that it's important to like make sure that people know that it's okay to like that a fitness person is also saying that it's good to be healthy, because I think that, this my background is in fitness, but yes and no, right? I've always worked out as a, starting in high school, I started working out, but, like I always had that in my mind that like it was good to, mental health was good, and that's why I had the psychology degree. And I guess that's kind of how we all put it together, It's like it's pretty much what I am as a person, and that's pretty much what I'm trying to put out there. It's just like I started off with fitness, did the psychology thing, realized that it's helped me out with the physical stuff, and now I want to bring that to everybody else.
So I think, you touched on the topic of being able to like recognize certain things that are going on. And I think eventually it's starting to pop up all over the place too, where people are doing more in-house, where they have like integrative type approaches to health and wellness. And I think one of the things that we were hoping to accomplish with the podcast too is being able to, like get people's perspective within that entire realm, but playing different roles and recognizing how you can work harmoniously together. And so one of the things, like we've talked to a strength coach, somebody in mental health, another chiropractor, we have, people scheduled who are PTs and things like that coming up later. Stay tuned for that. But anyway, I think a big thing, I guess maybe it's human nature, but also just what's best for people is that whole team mindset. And so I appreciate you kind of talking about it, because that's something that we definitely appreciate both as practitioners, and something that we definitely want to kind of highlight more through the podcast is, there are people who are out there who recognize and are willing to work. It's just about going to meet those people, get to know them, and see how you can work together for the benefit of others. So, I mean, you've had a lot more experience doing that than us. Can you talk a little bit about your experience, like working with other professionals, who you've worked with, or people that you like to work with in that regard, just for people who are looking to branch out and meet people who might not be in the area here?
Yeah. That's an interesting concept. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have any. I don't have any preferences in terms of like people I would work with. I mean, because my thing, even into growing up and actually starting off as a fitness professional, I realized, and I'm sure you realize the same, is just like the knowledge is power. The more you know, and the more ways you can look at things, the more you can kind of translate into how you speak, right, or how you think. So I don't know if I have a specific like type of person that I would work, but I would say that I do have a specific person that I probably wouldn't work with. And I would say, like, I know, and this probably makes sense to just everybody listening. It's just people that are pretty much set in their ways, that are not willing to look outside of pretty much have their dogma of like how they approach things, and like don't really see anything outside of that. No matter how good they are, what they do. I've seen that in the field, as in my years. It's like people that are really, they are not all of them, but there are some people that are really good at what they do, and because they're so good at what they do, you can't tell them anything outside of that, and you can't really bounce ideas off of them, because everything is so concrete and defined into this little box that they've created of prescriptions, let's say, in terms of like what you should do, whether it be physically, mentally, or just in general everyday life. It's pretty much, this is their thing, and you can't really do anything outside of that. And so I don't really like to work with, and you can kind of understand why, because you want to be open to different possibilities, because the world is infinite, the universe is infinite, and there's so many ways that you can do things. Obviously, not every way of those things is right. Not all those ways will work, but there are multiple ways to do things, and there are multiple ways to look at things, especially when it comes to working with bodies like we do. There's so many different variations to how people work and how people move, and pretty much there's just variations to people in general, right? So it's like, if you have a specific dogma, then you're going to be pretty much pigeonholing yourself into a specific approach. You're probably going to see a specific type of person, and that's not what I'm really interested in. I'd love to see pretty much everybody, if possible. Everybody that can afford me, of course.
So you're talking about various approaches to fitness and health, and all these different perspectives, and whether or not they're, very closed off or very open. How would you say your perception and your perspective on fitness has changed since like your time as a college athlete to now? What's your movement philosophy, and how do you kind of incorporate that into your daily life?
That's a great question. Because my philosophy has actually changed. When I first started as an athlete, and when I was running track and stuff, I thought about it as like the more you could do, the better. Like the harder you can go, the better. The more you throw up during your workouts, the better the workout was. And I think that's kind of changed overall in the health and fitness field. I mean, I was definitely like in the heyday of CrossFit. I mean, CrossFit still exists, but in the heyday of CrossFit, that was like pretty much the thing. It's like, how many bones did you break? How many bones did you break? Oh, only 14? Well, I've got 17. Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. So yeah, it's like a lot of I think that was kind of in our field, that was the big thing. I have gone from, I think as I've aged too, it's just like, I've seen it in my own body, just like you can't go fast, you can't go super hard anymore. You have to be, you have to more kind of tailor it to how you feel. So I'd say like when I first started, it was just like about going as hard as you could, as long as you could, for as many times as you could. And now it's more so like kind of be mindful in what you're doing. Obviously, actually, if I were to put it down into one word, what my philosophy would be, and you've already said it before today, is consistency. So finding something that you can do consistently, whether it be like I'm going to mention my squat challenge. So I've been, I could talk about it with your group, I guess. I've been doing a little challenge, and the last month was plank, this month is squat. And I have to say, the reason why I am talking about this right now on your podcast is because it's actually helped me develop that consistency that I've been looking for in my own workouts. I was like, during the holidays and leading up to the holidays, I was gaining a little bit of weight, and I was a little bit like, all right, I need to work out really hard to get back to it. And, and I think that's when I came to you, or it was pretty close when I came to you about my shoulder. And I think I was having an issue with that because of doing trying to do too many push-ups or something like that, or I can't remember what exactly it was, but it was around that time I came to you, and I realized again, because we always come to those realizations, I think more than one time. I guess like, what is consistency? So that's when I think I came up with that plank challenge. Said it's good to just do something, even if it's just for 1 minute. Just do something. And a lot of times that one thing turned into 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And now, just yesterday, I did the squat challenge. And before I even did the squat challenge, I did some exercises beforehand. Then I did the squat challenge, and I did some more exercises afterwards, which was like definitely something I haven't been doing over probably the past year. So, I just feel good about that consistency thing. It's not necessarily all about like, going as hard as you can. I mean, I'm 40 years old now. I'm not trying to win any championships or anything like that. I'm just trying to maintain now, So I think it's really a matter of just if there's a way that anybody out there can find something that is that they can do consistently, not anything that's going to make them buff, within the next 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, or whatever. Not going to be something that's going to make you lose weight in the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or whatnot. But just something that you can do consistently that helps you feel better about yourself and helps you like maybe just create a better environment mentally, internally, so that you can do something outside of more than what you're doing, or maybe outside of what you're already doing, that's giving you those feelings that are not so good, So it's like if you're feeling okay, if you're feeling I'm gonna do something that is gonna be, you can add to your life, that is just, you can constantly do that. We'll just bring it from an to a okay.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and then I think you kind of, I guess, brought a lot of those ideas together too, where it's finding something that you enjoy, doing something in an environment that's positive, which I think you've done a really good job of kind of creating and bringing from yourself, right, to the people that you help. And I think it's also important for people who are looking for those things, because I think trainers, coaches, whether they're, in athletics, or if they're, private trainers or part of an organization, whatever it is, like you can have such a positive impact on people's lives just by creating that positive environment, encouraging them to enjoy what they're doing, even though it's probably a little bit uncomfortable and difficult. And like you said, being open-minded, staying open-minded, not getting trapped in like a dogmatic approach to anything. And I think, consistency is the key, right? If somebody enjoys it, they're going to stick it out, and they're going to enjoy the process and actually start to see the results from it, which is awesome. So I guess, here.
Well, I have to make a comment, because you say, you're saying that you don't go as hard as you used to, you're not trying to just go all out every single workout that you do. But, not too long ago, you were doing American Ninja Warrior. So I can't help but think that you are still finding that childlike joy in the movement that you probably did as a kid, climbing trees and, swinging around on different things. I mean, that seems like it's still a big part of what you do. Maybe not today, maybe today, but I think that's very cool that you've maintained that level of enjoyment within movement and finding challenges for yourself. And just continuing to keep moving.
Well, so I guess I do have a question about that specifically. And like you just mentioned too, it's all about kind of finding challenges, because sometimes if we're doing the same thing over and over again, we kind of get bored with it, right? So you mentioned that you're doing like the squat challenge and stuff. Is there anything else that you do within your training where you help people kind of like find challenges or kind of be more like goal oriented in their training to keep them consistent with it?
Oh man, I honestly wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't. I don't. I think though the reason why people do enjoy my training, it's not because we have specific benchmarks that we reach or whatnot. I mean, people do like the fact that they lose weight and they get more mobile or whatnot. But I think it's not necessarily that we have some kind of goal. I mean, maybe we should do that. I think about it, but it is whatever works for people, right? I mean, but I think the fact is that most people come to me because they do feel better, both emotionally and physically. They feel that they've taken that challenge of like not moving or moving not as much, and actually done more activity, been more active with their lives, and I think that's really what it is. It's really not, it's nothing, it's not like rocket science, not any kind of like, we're going to hit these goals or anything like that. I don't think I have, I mean, the more I say it, it sounds terrible, but honestly, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's just like, it's what works for the people that I work with. The people that I work with, they're so bogged down with challenges and deadlines and goals and stuff like that. It's nice to almost have that childlike approach to just like working out, having fun, and we'll do certain things within our workouts. Like I said, it's not necessarily we have benchmarks that we do long term, but like maybe we'll have an exercise that we'll do in the beginning of the workout, and then we'll try to see if we could do it at the end of the workout. Maybe see if you can touch your toes with one foot off the ground at the beginning of the workout, and then at the end of the workout, see how close you can get to touching your toes without falling over. So, I mean, maybe it's like more like micro goals. It's not necessarily like a whole, that we're going to set this goal for 3 months down the road that you're going to lose 6 pounds or 16 pounds or however many pounds, or you're going to lose however many inches or whatnot, or you're going to be able to bench press X amount of weight. It's more so, again, because they have these, that's stress inducing. It is. A lot of people that do train with me are A types or whatnot. So they already have enough on their plate when it comes to like deadlines and goals and stuff like that. And although it is a good thing to have in certain cases, I think for certain people, it's more so that they want to feel good about what their experience. So maybe the baseline or the what we're looking at instead of a goal or a deadline or whatnot is more so, did you have fun in your workout? Are you having more fun as you go along? Are you having more fun? Are you having a more pleasant experience with your life? Because it's not just working out, but now you have a better quality of life. Are you experiencing more things? And in fact, to that point, I have a client. Her name's Frozy. Shout out to Frozy. Her name is actually Fran. I give some of my clients nicknames. Actually, quite a few of my clients have nicknames. So, you come in there. Yeah, right. So everybody has people have nicknames just because you come into my place and it's like you're a different person. You're not the person that you are outside. She actually went on a trip. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago now, up to Maine when she first started going up to Maine. Now she goes up to Maine almost once every 3 or 4 months, but it's not Maine. It was actually Canada. So scratch the beginning to that story. She went up to Canada and she did like some kind of thing. She's like almost 60 years old now, but she did some kind of thing that like a lot of other people were looking at her when she was doing it. She did some push-ups over some valley, some kind of gorge is what it was. So it was like, I think that's a gorge, right? It's like two pieces of land and there's like a kind of like a mini canyon, right? I think that's a gorge.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, so it was like a little space in the middle. She put like it sounds right? So she put a little shovel down on the ground and did push-ups over that. And she did it pretty, she got pretty low. She sent me a picture of her getting pretty low in the push-ups. I thought it was impressive. But what was more impressive to me is that she felt so confident to do it and that she felt she felt happy enough in her quality of life and the impact that I've had with our training, or that we've had in her life with her training, that she could do those things, and people were impressed by her doing that, because nobody else was doing it. In fact, her husband was like, "Whoa, you crazy. Don't do that." But she ended up doing it, and she had a good time doing that, and she's like, felt really good about it. So I think, to answer the question, it's not necessarily about, like, at least for me. I mean, it's like what works for everybody else, what works for your business, what works for, you as a human being, or as whatever you are. Not a human being, but wherever you identify yourself as in terms of like what you're doing to help other people. I think it's more so for me, the people appreciate having that good energy we talked about, but also just being able to have a better quality of life and being able to identify those times when they can say, oh, 5 years ago I couldn't have been able to do that. So in the long-winded version of that, essentially that's what it is like people just feel better having a better quality of life.
Yeah. Which I mean, realistically, like that's probably the most important measurement, and I think kind of like you said too, and I know I've had friends go through like very drastic like training experiences where they dropped like a bunch of weight, but their mindset was all about losing that weight, and then once they got there, it was then what, versus like being able to enjoy the process. And so like you said, it's like the challenges and things can kind of keep you a little bit more involved, but at the heart of it, I think you're able to tap into that deeper meaning of, especially for people who didn't necessarily come in saying, I want to be able to bench press this amount, right? They just wanted to incorporate movement into their lives because they knew that it would help them feel better, and all of a sudden it's starting to positively impact the rest of the other aspects of their life. Decrease stress from work, better sleep, able to go on vacation and be physically active and enjoy it, and look cool doing it.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
So I guess that kind of leads us into one question, which is, if somebody's looking to train with you or reach out to you, I mean, are you, I guess, well, one, are you accepting clients? And
Actually, I'm always accepting clients.
Here, I'll say it into the microphone.
Oh, sorry. You want to talk on the microphone, please? Yes, I'm always accepting clients. It's like depending on, the thing is that, I obviously have my own studio. I have a studio, but I also have, a training facility outside of the studio where I have other trainers that I'm also trying to implement and create that culture of like, keep good company within that facility as well. So, if I don't have the time specifically myself, they're more than welcome to train with my trainers that I employ as well.
Cool. Yeah. So I think, we really appreciate you, coming on. It's always a lot of fun being able to talk with you. I mean, one, because it's so easy and it's so fun, and you have a contagious laugh, so we just enjoy it selfishly. But we like to wrap up podcasts with these lightning round questions. So I'm gonna have Dr. Joe here. Dr. J, take you through some of the lightning round questions.
Okay. All right. So number 1, what is the most influential book that you've read? Or it doesn't even necessarily have to be a book. It could be, influential movie or whatever.
Actually, don't go there. You should have just said book, because I'll go all over with movies and books. I actually have a little bit of a little mini library in my gym. I'm not an avid reader, so to speak, but I do, like, when it gets like, there's like, I have my spurts and phases where I'm like, I'm gonna read right now. Let me think. I had when I was really reading was like right before I started General Fitness Company. I think I was reading like a book a day. So I read I read a lot of biographies, like the Ray Kroc story. I can't remember what the name of that book was called, and that's my promise. I can't remember the names of books.
I can't name actors.
So there you go. Throw in that book. But the story about Ray Kroc, the Simon Sinek book. I can't remember. Start with Why. Yeah. That's a great book. Yeah, that's a great book. I'm trying to think. And I would say, off the top of my head, I can think of those are probably my top 2 books. There's a lot of books that I kind of reread over and over again that are like more like not even self-help, but just kind of keep there's one right now that I'm like reading over and over again called Crucial Conversations. And that's essentially a book about like how to approach like conflict or, like conversations that might be a conflict or that might turn into a conflict. So obviously the name gives it away, but crucial conflicts and crucial conversations, excuse me. So I constantly like peruse through that book, like maybe skim through those pages and be like, what, kind of was like, I remember back when I was younger, like maybe 8th or 9th grade, I remember learning about I think of the Protestants of England. And the Protestants of England back in the day, the way they read the Bible was essentially they would just open the book to a certain page, and that was the page that was ordained by God for the sermon. So essentially, that's how I think about that. Still, I just open the book up and like, this is the page that was ordained by God for me for today. So that's kind of how I do with that book. So I would say, that Start With Why book. And a lot of the Ray Kroc story. I still can't even remember what the heck the name of that book is called, but later, right? But a lot of I like to read about biographies because I like to think about like how people got to from being a quote unquote normal person to what we see today. I've also read the Richard Branson book a couple times actually because he is dyslexic, and the fact that he's like a billionaire and he's dyslexic, I thought that was really interesting to find out like what how he looks at like life and how he can like be successful given that he has this quote unquote disability of being dyslexic. And I just find that it's just really interesting to see that people can go from normal everyday people, and there's lots of different examples of them. So I like to really read those things. Did you look it up?
Is it Grinding It Out?
Grinding It Out. That's exactly what it is. Thanks. That's my Jamie over here, Joe Rogan and Jamie. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, I would say that like if somebody's giving me the opportunity to say, hey, what are your top, like you were saying right now, what are your top books? I would say that it's more of a genre like that, the biographies, and to see the triumphant story of the average everyday person becoming something more than.
That's awesome. Yeah, learning from other people's actions of transforming their lives in different ways and facing challenges. Yeah, I think that is a fantastic genre to learn from. Well, you mentioned it now. Now I have to ask you, what would be maybe one or two, maybe three of your top movies that you would say? I had to throw it in.
Those are definitely not the same. It's not like I'm not watching like biographies and stuff. Top one. These are so like not like my reading material at all. Number one all-time movie is Coming to America. I can watch that movie a million times. I love that movie. It's just like the fact, and it's a great movie, but the fact that Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall play so many different characters and are so diverse, that's what really like gets it for me. It's just like, that guy can do anything, including sing, right? Because he was that one guy too. That what is that sexual chocolate guy? So I'm like, damn, this guy can do everything. So number one, that's absolutely all-time favorite movie. Number two was definitely a little bit more obscure movie. It's called The Last Dragon, and I think it came out in 1984. It's like a black kung fu movie, but it's like a parody type movie. There's a guy, the leading character is named Bruce Leroy. Exactly. His leading character is Bruce Leroy, and he fights a guy named Shonuff. And essentially, I tell you, you got to check it out, though. I mean, it's supposed to snow this weekend, so maybe it might be, and I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube, so you can probably check it out for free. But Last Dragon, it's a great movie. Kind of like, actually, it's kind of like the biography kind of thing. It's like some normal dude that, becomes kind of a hero. And if we go for three, number three, Lion King. That's a great movie just because of the music. It's a great story. I think isn't it based on like a Shakespearean play though? I think it's like Othello or something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
You have to look that up. Maybe we'll look that up another time. But anyway, but I think it's based on a Shakespearean play, and I just think it's a great, again, normal. Well, he was a prince, right? So he wasn't really normal, but it's just a story about someone's life. I just really appreciate seeing like people just kind of go from where they are to where they're going to be.
Lion King, a classic. I think I watched that on repeat when I was a kid, like every single day. That was one of those movies for me, for sure. Okay, next one. If you could have any meal delivered to your door tonight from anywhere in the world, what would it be?
Oh, wow. That's great. You know what? There's actually a meal that I introduced my girlfriend to that she had never even heard of until she met me. Chicken and waffles. So there you go. Chicken and waffles. And actually we got it. I ended up finding it randomly. And my son, he lives in State College. And I drive up there every Sunday for to visit, obviously. And there's a place called Rutter's on the way back that randomly, have you heard of Rutter's? It's like Sheets.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's Sheets and Rudders outside of Philadelphia. Wawa is Philadelphia. Philadelphia is run by Wawa, but you go outside of Philadelphia, and even just like it's Sheets. Sheets is technically Wawa, and then there's Rudders, and that's like the technical Sheets. So it's like, but they make. I don't even know if they make it anymore, but they make this wonderful, delicious chicken and waffles sandwich. So it's like waffles on the outside, and there's a little chicken chunk or whatever in the inside. Not grilled, fried. Like real official, like chicken tender is essentially what it is. So I would say that I don't even know if that would be it though. I went all over.
That's a side dish.
Yeah, that would be the side dish. What would be the actual meal?
The appetizer.
Yeah, the appetizer, right? Chicken and waffle appetizer. You know what? I don't know. Like, pizza's good. I mean, pizza's always good, right? I mean, that's just the first thing that comes to my mind is chicken and waffles. Maybe chicken and waffles from like the most famous place that makes. But I don't know. I've been to some places that are supposedly known for chicken and waffles, and they were terrible. It's like like the other. No, I'm not going to name any places, but I'm not going to put anybody on blast like that. But I went to a local restaurant, and they had chicken and waffles, and I was like, oh. I was very sad. I was very sad after that meal. I'm like, this is not like my chicken and waffles that I enjoy. So anyway, I guess to answer your question off the top of my head, since this is supposed to be the speed round, even though I'm taking 10 minutes to answer every question, chicken and waffles.
I love it. No, it's lightning round, but we can. I mean, I'm trying to take this any direction I can. Yeah. Yeah. This next one might take a minute to answer, so I apologize, but it's a good deep dive into you. Mm-hmm. So if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
That's actually an easy one because as soon as you said that, I actually thought back to my yearbook quote. My high school yearbook quote, and it actually still applies. Your mental ability will always take you further than your physical ability. I don't know how 17-year-old Jerry came up with that, but I'm like, that guy knew something. Yeah, I was on, and you know what? Sure enough, I really do see that now at the age of 40 is that mental ability is going to take you a lot further than the physical, because after a while the physical burns out, and but I guess if I was to give my talk to that 17-year-old that said the mental ability take you further than your physical ability, I would say just be grateful for everything in life, like be grateful for the good, grateful for the bad. I would say, like, as a 17-year-old, as a younger guy living in my mother was a single mom, but she was a really great person. In fact, I would say sometimes too great in the fact that she just tried to almost overcompensate for like the fact that I didn't have a father, and in the home I do have a father, but I just have a father in the home. So she really tried to push that in there. And so I think unfortunately when I left school, I took a lot of things for granted. I took a lot of, just didn't really when something didn't go my way, I'd really get upset, because like everything would go my way. I'm still kind of like that, to be honest with you. A lot of things go my way, and I'm just like, this is how it's supposed to go. And when they don't go my way, I'm kind of like, this doesn't happen often. So I would say just gratitude and patience. Actually, probably the things that I would say to that younger version of myself, because those two things I would say are the absolute. They're probably the foundation of who I am now. Is like patience, because I waited pretty much. I mean, I told you before I wanted to start that general fitness company that I have now almost 15 years ago, because I started this 5 years ago, and 10 years before that I was thinking about general fitness company. So it's like 15 years ago I wanted to start a general fitness company. I just had no idea how to do it, and I feel like, obviously the patience, but I'm grateful for the fact that it took 15 years, because I was able to develop the obviously the physical training, or the personal training aspect of it, but also the mindset and the ideals that I incorporate now into general fitness company. Because I think if I had started when I was 15 years ago, it would have been all about making money and trying to be the most famous person in the area. And as I've been here over 15 years now, I've realized that no matter how many people I meet, I'm not going to be the most famous person. Even like there's famous people that still people don't know, so like that's kind of out of the picture for me. And it's more so just like do as much as I can for the people around me, and by being grateful for those people that I have around me, I'm going to be more apt to do more for them. And I don't think about it in terms of like I'm going to do for you so you can do for me. It's just more so I'm grateful to have these great people around me like yourselves, and like I'm grateful to be able to do these things for people like yourselves, and just everybody. I don't know why I said people, but you get what I'm saying. People. But I should say people like yourselves, because you all are genuinely nice people, genuinely caring and giving. As I've had some of my clients, or at least I have clients that deal with you and can say the same thing. That we are all kind of in the same boat of like you're trying to give general care, not just about just making as many dollars as you can, or as making much money as you can. It's more so like it's long term. So it's all that patience and all those things kind of come together. It's like if you have the patience, you'll be more willing to be grateful for the opportunities that you have, and that because you're patient, you'll understand that there more of those opportunities will come along, and eventually you'll get what you want. Maybe not right away, but you'll get what you want. So like to again answer that question, like for the younger version of myself, I say I definitely was less patient and less grateful for the things that did and didn't happen. So I also want to say I'm grateful for the things that didn't happen, because there's a lot of things that I look back at and like, thank God that didn't happen, even though it looked like an opportunity at the time. Again, kind of going back to that 15 years, I wish I'd started, but I'm grateful for everything, because it just it gives to have that gratitude kind of opens your eyes to like what the possibilities are, and kind of go back to what I was talking about with the people I won't work with. It's like if you don't have that gratitude, then you won't have your eyes open to any opportunities that may arise for you.
Well, it sounds like you were a very insightful teenager. If you had already realized the value in keeping your mental health good, and kind of, keeping that foundation of, keeping perspective and staying grounded, so that you are open to learning those lessons that you're saying. Patience and gratitude is not something that we are born with, I don't think. Unfortunately, we do have to learn those things through life, and your perspective and your mindset and being open to receiving those messages and those lessons is, something I think everyone needs to achieve eventually in their lives. And it sounds like you have definitely achieved that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You have been such a delight. It's always so much fun to speak with you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're excited to be able to share it so that other people can learn, because I think you mentioned a lot of things that I think are fantastic perspectives that regardless of what somebody does, I think it's important to hear and think about and meditate on a bit and kind of incorporate, because there's so much crossover in what we all do, because regardless of profession, we're always people first, and regardless of what we're doing, we're working with people, and so all those things kind of cross over. So I guess to wrap it up, I mean, we're big fans of you. We follow you. Can you tell us a little bit about where people can find you, where you are on social media, the podcast, all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can find me on, where should I start? You can find me on Facebook. You find me on Instagram. Fit General Jerry is Instagram. Twitter is General Fit Company.
We'll link it to you. So
Yeah. All right. So we won't give you the name because I can't remember all those names. I definitely know on Facebook I'm the real Jerry Washington, because there's a couple of Jerry Washington. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Don't use that as much. I should use it more, though. Apparently, we should use it more. Apparently, it's a really big thing, especially as chiropractors. And you got a lot of people that are in offices that probably wouldn't need your help. So anyway, you can cut that out if you want. But anyways, so LinkedIn. Where else? It's TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I just made a couple TikToks the other day. Where else can I be found? I have generalfitnesscompany.com. Oh yeah, the podcast. Thanks, man. General Fitness Company Cast, and that's actually on all platforms. So if you just search General Fitness Company Cast, you'll be able to find that. And I think that is it. Oh yeah, and physical location, 300 Levering Mill Road in Bala Kenwood. And yes, I am accepting clients. So if you are interested, just give me a buzz at info@generalfitnesscompany.com. Don't call me because I will not answer your phone call because I'm a really busy person. But yeah, shoot me an email, info@generalfitnesscompany.com. Or if you don't want to write all that out, you can write something out that's similar to that, generalfitnesscompany@gmail.com. I think it's the same amount of characters now I think about it. But anyways, those are the ways you can catch me.
And then just in general, any projects or things on the horizon that you want to give people a heads up on? Anything you're working on?
You know what? I was thinking about that. You had mentioned that earlier on before we recorded, and I was thinking, like, are there any projects that I'm really working on other than the studio, the other fitness center that I'm working on, that second location? I don't really have anything off the top of my head. Yes, I forgot about. You know what? That actually is one. I guess we can invite all the listeners and stuff like that. Squat challenge is what I'm doing this month. I'm trying to do a monthly challenge. I think I mentioned that earlier on. That I'm really essentially trying to get myself more consistent with my exercise and just doing something very small at a time, no matter how much it is or how little it is. It's just something. So I'm actually taking suggestions because we're at the end of the month. I was thinking about some things that I could do for the month. So you guys have any ideas? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you guys can give me some ideas. Maybe you can write. You guys can send it. There you go, upside down squats. But yeah, so next month I'm thinking about, this is like the top of the list, but it's not exactly the thing I'm going to do yet. Balance was going to be what I was going to work on for next month. So that might be it. But if you listeners have anything that you might want to see me work on, feel free to write it in the comments or leave a rating or a review when you listen to this and put that in there. Like, Jerry should work on this, or maybe everybody should work on this. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. Thank you again. We'll drop all the notes in the show notes, and thanks so much for being on. We had a lot of fun.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.